This edition of MacVoices is sponsored by Linode, high-performance cloud hosting for everyone. Visit linode.com/MacVoices and take $20 off your first server package. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, we're back with another Take Control author, and it's funny how this works. They seem to go in waves. We don't hear from them for months, and then all of a sudden they release 2 or 3 books, and we do them not quite back to back, of course, but close enough. This time, the particular author I'm talking about is Mr. Michael E. Cohen. Michael, welcome back. It's good to see you.
Hi, folks.
We just did this, Michael. It's
deja vu all over again.
Yeah. Well, this time we're talking about Take Control of PDFpen, second edition.
That's right.
I make sure that this is there is or was a previous Take Control title, but this is the second edition of Take Control of PDFpen.
Mm-hmm. And it's one of Take Control's sponsored books, which means that we work closely with Smile in producing it, and they distribute it free. And we distribute it free. So if you're interested in PDFpen, you can download a copy and find out what PDFpen does. And if you already have it, you can download a copy, and there's 211 some odd pages to tell you how to use it.
Thank you for bringing that up, because we usually talk about the cost at the end. This is free to get, and also under the heading of full disclosure, Smile is a sponsor of MacVoices, a long-time sponsor of MacVoices. That's not why, though, we're here talking about this. We're talking about this because A, it's Michael's new book, and B, I happen to think it's one of those essential pieces of software. Michael, it feels to me like it's become even more essential during the COVID-19 situation when we're all working at home.
I found it incredibly useful, especially when I was getting my taxes ready to send to my accountant, because he wasn't taking office visits. Everything had to be negotiated by email and attachment. And I had all of these, forms that had to be sent to him. And armed with a little scanner and PDF pen, I was able to scan them, OCR them, make them look nice and pretty, and package them up and send them to my accountant. Toot sweet. And I used PDF Pen when he sent me back the signing paper so I could have it filed electronically. I was able to put my signature on it with PDF Pen and send it right back to him. So yeah, totally.
Well, yeah, and it seems like I'm getting more and more documents sent to me in PDF form, you're right. I need to sign them. I need to manipulate them. Sometimes I want to edit them. And, if they're sent in PDF, typically you can't do that. But with PDF Pen, yeah, all of a sudden you can OCR it. Or if it has already that text layer in there, you can access that and address those things.
Absolutely. It has a very good text correction capabilities. I mean, you wouldn't want to sit down and revise an entire novel in PDF Pen because A, that's nuts, and B, PDF is really not the best format to reformat things. So it looks pretty on the page after you've made massive additions. But if you got a PDF, you're about to send it, and you say, "Oh my goodness, there's a typo in this line," that's easy. You can fix it, send it off, no harm done.
Well, and I find that I like the annotating of PDFs so much better than trying to annotate, say, a Word document or whatever. The tracking changes and all that are useful in Word, but I don't know, man. I just find them burdensome. With PDF Pen, I can slap my my comments up there, and then somebody else, if they have it on the other end, can address those issues and then take it out.
Yeah, PDF becomes a lowest common denominator in the sense you can send it to almost anyone and they can read it. They don't have to have Word or whatever other program you're using. Every computer you have can at least display PDFs. I mean, it would be if your system couldn't display a PDF, I'd say get a different system, because PDF has been around since the late 80s, early 90s. I mean, it's been around for a long time. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is sort of a rat hole, but we'll just touch on it. But it feels like one of the few formats that really hasn't been updated or changed or whatever. I will give Adobe a lot of credit. I think that for the most part, it's remained stable, and I think they got most of it right.
Well, it has changed a lot since the beginning, but the changes have been expansion of capability rather than making it incompatible with previous versions.
Point taken.
So there's a whole section in the Take Control of PDFpen that talks about the history of PDF and how the changes it's gone through and who today controls the standard. It used to be owned entirely by Adobe, but it became, a general standard a few years back. So anybody, who wants to make PDFs has a standard to follow, so their apps will follow those standards, which is a good thing. The whole idea of the PDF from the very beginning was to create a digital version of something that you print. So you can see on screen exactly what you get, a portable document format. And that's what it continues to be, but it does a whole lot more now as well. There's also another section of the book that goes into what's inside of a PDF. We'll talk about that in a bit.
Okay, well, let's do that. I was going to go to what are the new features, but let's talk about what's inside a PDF.
Well, a PDF contains, among other things, instructions for how stuff should look on the page. So the text you see in a PDF isn't arranged in, sentences and paragraphs and everything else like it is in a word processor. They're drawing instructions with the font, the characters, where they go on the page, how big they are, and so on and so forth, which is one of the reasons that editing PDFs after they're made is kind of hard, because your application has to go in and figure out exactly how to display the text that you can edit and then put it back into display format. But in addition, there's things inside of a PDF. You think of it as like a big tree with branches, and there's a ton of stuff hanging off the branches. There's text bits, there's picture bits, there's form bits, there's all sorts of graphic drawing bits to draw lines and boxes and what have you. All of those kind of hang off of the central tree structure. So to understand to work with a PDF, you have to go down through the tree and find all the bits you're interested in and pull them together so you can work on it, which is why editing a PDF is a pretty courageous undertaking. If you don't know what's going on, it's all to the credit of Smile that they've made it so darned easy. Because it wasn't designed to be edited at all.
Every time we talk, you come up with some of the craziest analogies, and yet that makes so much sense. And I bet there are 3 people listening to this who have really thought about exactly what a PDF is. As far as most of us are concerned, it's just, well, until you get PDF Pen or Pdfpenpro, it's an immutable document. It's
Right.
Okay. This is what Michael wanted me to see in the font he wanted me to see it in, with the spacing, that all of that, with the images he wanted and exactly where he wanted them. And I don't think any of us, most of us, probably all of us, have given a lot of thought to what's going on in such what appears to be such a simple document.
Oh yeah, it's I find it fascinating. I have an interesting history with PDFs going back to just about the very beginning. I first heard about them when I worked at a company called the Voyager Company back in the early 90s. We produced some like the first interactive CD-ROMs that were ever on the market. And we created ebooks that we distributed on floppy disks. They were all written in HyperCard, but they looked like books. So you could read them and turn the pages and mark it. It didn't look that much different than what you see in Apple's books or a Kindle today, as a matter of fact. But while we were developing that, we had visits from people from Adobe who wanted to show us this new thing that they at the time were calling Carousel, and said, maybe you want to use this for your ebooks. And that was the first time I ever saw PDFs. We said, that's really nifty, but unfortunately, it's a paper it's designed to look like the page, not designed to be on the screen. And we wanted an ebook experience that was on the screen, so we passed on PDFs. But at the time, I was thinking, this is hot stuff. This will be really cool if it ever comes out. And then it came out. I think it was around 94.
Yeah, that's about right, because I remember hearing about Carousel. And, at the time I was doing something completely different than you were, but was thinking, hey, this has some real benefits, because if I can compose the way I want it and then send it to someone and it can't be modified,
Mm-hmm.
wow. I mean, that's because up to that point, you were trading, well, I guess, I don't know. I don't even remember if you could do images of documents at that point easily, but you definitely were just exchanging word processing documents of one flavor or another.
Oh, you're using Word 3, but I'm using Xywrite. I can't read your stuff. Oh, you're using Xywrite. I'm using Word. I'm using MacWrite, or I'm using
Yeah.
Word Perfect or something else, and you couldn't read anybody else's stuff unless you had the right version on the right platform at the right time. And PDFs were designed to be on any platform, period. You know, Mac, PC, Commodore 64.
All right. Well, we've gone down memory lane here, so let's come back to the present, because not
Sure.
only have we, have PDFs gotten to this point, but now the newest version, or the newest iteration, I should say, of PdfPen has some brand new features,
Yes, it does.
and
Um,
that's hence the book, of course.
hence the book. Yeah, I heard about a month ago, just as I was finishing up my book on Apple interface mysteries, that PDF Pen was coming out. And so I said, okay, I'll finish this one book and then start on revising this other book. And so it was like, a relay race. The baton was handed and I took it up. So yeah, it comes out once a year, usually an update. And I'm usually on top of it about a month before it comes out. So I get a preview of all the new features as they're being finished, which is kind of cool as well. I actually have a little bit of back and forth with the developers, so I can say, "Are you sure you want it to work that way?" And they'll say, "Well, maybe we do, maybe we don't." So,
This edition of MacVoices is supported by Linode. Need a virtual server? You can build it on Linode. Linode specializes in cloud computing, making it easy for anyone to get their website or online service up and running quickly and to keep it running. How do they do it? By providing a huge variety of one-click installs for things like WordPress, Drupal, WooCommerce, Plesk, OpenVPN, Prometheus, Arc, and many more. Then they keep it running, and keep it running fast, with industry-leading processors, a 40 gigabit network, and SSD storage. And if you need help deploying your site or your service, or to keep it running at peak efficiency, you can take advantage of the extensive library of guides, tutorials, a community of Linode users, a support bot, and their 24/7 365 customer support. Find out more about Linode and all they offer, because I can't cover it all here no matter how hard I try. Visit linode.com/MacVoices and get $20 off your first server. That's linode.com/MacVoices and $20 off your first server. You've been putting off that project. Now it's time to get it done at linode.com/MacVoices and save $20 doing it. Thanks to Linode for their support of MacVoices. Well, so what do we have in this new version? Because
much of the changes you'll see, not all of them, but much of them are on the file menu actually in this version. For example, you used to be able to create a blank document, an empty document with nothing in it. Now you can create an empty document and choose from stationery, lined paper, colored paper, and like that. So you don't just have a blank screen, you actually have something you can put on it. So there's, new document from stationery is one of the new things. We're talking about all the stuff that's inside of a PDF. A lot of that stuff is taking up more room than it should. For example, if you want to put an editable graphic in a PDF so you can adjust it a little bit later with a PDF editing application like Acrobat or PDFpen, you can't just use the native PDF drawing commands. You have to have extra information to explain what the drawing object is and how to access it so your program can talk to the PDF and back. That's not needed to view the PDF, though, and it just kind of hangs around there taking up space. Or image thumbnails may take up extra space. And again, you don't really see, but they were there at the time and they weren't taken out because that's the way it is. So there's a new command called Create Optimized PDF. And when you run a PDF through that, it creates a copy of your PDF and then gets rid of a lot of that background stuff you don't need and optimizes the images in your PDF so they don't take up as much room and still look good. And you've got control over that. And I found that to be a really useful feature because, among other things, when I do shopping, I often get paper receipts. I scan my paper receipts and OCR them so I can add them to my files, my financial records. But it takes up room because you got to scan it at a pretty good resolution for OCR to work really well. But it doesn't have to look all that well if you just want to read it later. So these days now, when I scan a receipt, I OCR it, and then I make an optimized version, which usually shrinks it by about 40%, taking up less room in my records, which makes me very happy. The third big feature you'll find on the file menu is for PdfpenPro users, which is the more advanced high-end version of PdfPen, and that's for document signing. If you want to send a PDF to someone else for signature and have that signature be digitally authenticated, and it's not just some guy scribbled somewhere, but it's actually digitally authenticated by the user, you could get yourself a signing certificate. There's all sorts of ropes you have to jump through to get that done well if you want to do it yourself. And PdfPen supports that. But in addition, PdfpenPro now integrates with a service called DocuSign. So if all you want to do is just put a signature line and say, I want Joe to sign here and put a date here, you can connect your PDF directly to DocuSign. It uploads it to DocuSign. You go in with the DocuSign web tool and say the signature goes here and here. And DocuSign takes care of distributing it to the people who need to get it, authenticating the signatures, and sending it back to you. So it's like one-stop shopping for people who send out PDFs that need signatures, which is a very cool feature. And
I will comment on that because that is a cool feature. And again, from working from home and working in a financial services industry, that is one issue that really is plaguing us. Whereas before, sooner or later, you had to get together with someone and put ink to paper. And
that's right.
Now, and DocuSign's been around for a while. I mean, if, a lot of us, if you bought houses in the last 7, 8, 10 years, there's a fair chance that you probably had some DocuSign documents.
Right.
But they always felt kind of cumbersome, and the idea that this now will integrate with PdfPen, something A, that I'm already familiar with, but B, just knowing the folks at Smile, they're going to make it as easy as it can be. That's a biggie. That's a biggie. Yeah.
Yeah. To write the book, I actually had to try it out. So, I have several different email addresses. So under one email address, I uploaded it to DocuSign and it got sent back to me at a different email address and I signed it and it came back, and it couldn't have been easier. It took me about 5 minutes, to read through the screens. DocuSign has lovely video tutorials about how to use it. And you can add more than just signatures with their service. And you don't have to pay for it for the first 30 days. If you want to try it out and see if it's for you, you get a 30-day free trial. So it's a really nice addition. And I think, it's not for everyone, but for those who want to get signed PDFs, it's a good one. The final new feature is not on the file menu. It's actually on the tools menu and appears on the toolbar under the drawing tools. And that's a new callout feature. You were talking about annotating PDFs earlier, right? There's a type of annotation called a callout that you see all the time. And it's usually a box of text with a line pointing to somewhere else in the PDF, like a figure or part of a figure to label it. And callouts, you could do them in PdfPen all along. You just created a line, you created a text box, you line them up, you're done. But now there's a callout tool that does it all for you. So if you've got something on a figure, you just choose the callout tool, point to where you want the thing to point, and drag to where you want the text box to be. And it draws the line, draws the arrow, draws the text box, gives an angle on the line so you can adjust what side of the box it comes out of. Making callouts is really super simple. And it's a feature I wish they'd had all along because it's just nifty.
That's very cool. That's again, it's what I like so much about PdfPen. They keep coming out with features, but I don't feel they're feature bloat. Now, don't misunderstand. Not every feature is going to be used by every individual that fires up the program. But that said, something like that. I mean, that anybody that works with PDFs is probably going to use that one.
Mm-hmm. And again, they have a lot of experience over time. They see how people use the product, and they hear the people who say, this works great, and the other people who say, I wish it could do that, or I wish it did it differently. And Smile's pretty responsive about, taking all of that feedback under advisement when they come up with a new version. Every new version that I've ever gotten of PdfPen from Smile has been just a little bit better, a little bit smoother, a little bit nicer to use. They don't stand still. They're not trying to rock your world with every release. They're just trying to make it better. There are some features in this version that you'll never see. And that's because they're under the hood. As I said before, a PDF is chock full of stuff. And not all of it is stuff you see on the screen. Well, this version of PDFpen devotes a lot of time to making PDFs more light, less heavy. And so there's new compression technologies built in, even without using the optimize feature. The PDFs that you create or edit with the new version of PDFpen should be smaller because it uses better compression technologies and more appropriate ones for given types of data. So again, it's nothing you ever have to see or touch. It just happens.
But just to be clear, that does not affect the compatibility with
Not
any
at all.
legacy anything.
Not at all. It's all bog standard compression, but there's a difference between compression and compressors. Compressors can be efficient or inefficient as long as the results are readable by third-party software. So you can use very, very different roads to get to the same end. And the better your compressor is, the more compression you've got, even sticking within the same standard. So if you got a JPEG, you can compress it in a lot of different ways to get it to 80% of its original size. Some work better than others, but all of them will be legitimate JPEGs at the end. So it's that sort of thing.
Real good example. Because you're right. If anyone that's ever tried to shrink the size of a JPEG without necessarily changing the dimensions of the JPEG knows that sometimes it works and sometimes they get blocky, they get ugly, and the same thing with PDFs. I like the idea that that's a big focus here. It sounds like, because that's the one thing about PDFs, as we all seem for some reason, just paperwork. We create larger and larger PDFs, and we see PDFs come out of scanners, and they're ridiculously large. And the idea of, and then trying to send a bunch of those through email clogs it up or won't go. And so the idea that this is yet another way that I can try to reduce the size of PDFs without compromising on the readability of them that is also a terrific new feature.
And it takes nothing more than just opening up the PDF and PDFpen and fiddling with it a bit. Those compressions kind of kick in. So,
yeah, automatic.
I mean, sure, we've got terabyte hard drives, or SSDs or what have you. But, data always expands to fill the available space.
Yeah, it's funny how quickly you think I bought a 10 terabyte drive, and you think, well, I won't fill that up in 5 years. And then suddenly you drag something to it. It's like, not enough space for this. Like, what? How did that happen? But it does. It does.
Oh, yeah.
Michael, talk a little bit about the differences between PDFpen and PDFpenpro. Because that's something I think a lot of people are going to need to understand.
Well, PDFpen itself is like 80 to 85% of what PDFpenpro is, for starters. I mean, if what you need to do is basically wrangle PDFs and make them look good, PDFpen is fine for you. PDFpenpro has truly pro features. For example, if you need to make interactive forms that you send to someone, with checkboxes and drop-down menus, so that they fill out online, PDFpenpro is the one that has all of those form drawing tools. Similarly, the DocuSign business is a PDFpenpro feature. There are a number of others that are designed for people who have to do more with PDFs than just make them look pretty and pass them along. If you really need to work with them, that's PDFpenpro is where you want to go. Things like OCR work a little bit more granularly in PDFpenpro. There's a few other things that, extra features so you can fine tune it. Most people probably won't need PDFpenpro, but if you need it, you'll know you need it. And it gets you closer and closer, to being an Acrobat killer. When we make our Take Control books, we still need Acrobat for a few things that PDFpenpro doesn't do. But it's getting so close now that we're really thinking that maybe soon we'll be able to abandon Acrobat completely and just, work with PDFpenpro.
Yeah,
That's a dream. It's a hope.
Well, and again, it may not do those things yet, but
Right.
just somewhere deep within Smile there is a list, and I'm sure those things
Yeah.
are on that list. And
Oh,
I would encourage folks to really before you buy. I mean, you definitely want to get one of these programs, but take a good hard look at the differences. I know I went with Pro because I have a regular need to take PDFs and export them to things like Word, like Excel. Not so much PowerPoint, but the ability to do some of those advanced things the PDF Pen Pro can do, and it's only a few dollars more. And why wouldn't you get all the capability you can?
And you don't have to decide immediately. That's the lovely thing. If you buy PDF Pen, there's a menu item on the PDF Pen menu which basically says upgrade to Pro. So you can, when you realize you do need it, you can upgrade right there. It will download the Pro version for you, and then you'll be off and running. So you can start with PDF Pen, and that's just great. And 90% of everything I do, I don't need PDF Pen Pro for, but because I do like to tinker, because I'm just that kind of guy, I like having PDF Pen Pro, and since I have to write about it, it helps to have a copy.
Yeah.
So I can describe it.
And we also should probably mention that there are versions of PDF Pen for iOS as well, iPadOS and iOS. So,
Right. Yeah, in fact, the final chapter in the book gives an overview of using PDF Pen on an iPad or iPhone or an iPod Touch if you want to do that. It works with iOS and iPadOS. And I updated that part of the book as well because since the last time it came out, it was version 4. Now it's version 5. And it does more and better stuff in terms of file handling. Used to be, that on iOS, everything was in a walled garden. These days, on an iPad, you can hook up, at least some iPads, you can plug in a thumb drive basically and store files there. And the PDF Pen file handler inside of iOS will show you the devices you hook up to and let you move files to and from them very easily. So that's cool.
I don't have one of those iPads yet, so I did not realize that. But that's good to know, and that's just one more reason to make me buy a new iPad. Thank you, Michael.
Always happy to give you reasons to spend money, Chuck.
Stimulus, right, Michael? Stimulus.
It's all about the economy here, guys.
Yeah, exactly. Well, of course, Take Control Books is where you go to get this, along with all of Michael's other books and all the other books from all the other Take Control authors that you should be paying attention to. And
They're
Smile.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. And smile.com, of course, or smilesoftware.com, excuse me. Smilesoftware.com is where you go and Michael, I'm pretty sure I'm right about this. There are still demo versions available of PDF Pen, so you can get it and try it. So
that's right.
Why wouldn't you?
If you go to Smile's site, you can download it, try it for 30 days. Any PDFs you create will have a watermark on it to let you know that it's an unlicensed version. But other than that, it's feature complete. So you can try it out and see if it suits what you need. Get it immediately. It's available at the Mac App Store or directly from Smile. And there's even this application. What is it called? I don't even use its name. Is it Setapp? Yes, Setapp. PDF Pen is actually one of the apps included in Setapp. So if you subscribe to Setapp, you've already got access to PDF Pen.
Oh, well, if you are a Setapp subscriber, then absolutely go and download this right now because you already have full access. So, and Michael's book is free.
I blanked on the name because, there's Setapp, there's WhatsApp, there's this app and that app. Product names are crazy.
Yeah. But and of course Michael's book is free as well. So you potentially got the software you're already paying for and a free book. And if not, then use the demo version, play with that, get Michael's book and find out what all it can do for you.
Yeah, there's certainly no barrier to experimenting and trying it out.
Terrific. Michael, as we always do, I want to make sure folks know where they can find you when you're not writing multiple Take Control books in a row.
Well, you can find me at Take Control, I'm an author there. You can find me on Twitter as @Lymond, Lymond. And my email address, mcohen@tidbits.com. When I write for Tidbits, you can reach me that way as well. So I can be found a lot of different ways. If you're in Santa Monica, you can find me too, hanging out in the farmer's market every Wednesday morning.
Okay, so folks, if you have any questions, if you have any questions on Pdfpen or any of Michael's other books, just go to Santa Monica to the farmer's market Wednesday morning. He's holding court by the strawberries, apparently.
Actually, my peach guy, he and I talk a lot about Apple stuff while he's vending peaches. So yeah, I'm his personal Apple consultant for peaches. Like, don't ask me to explain.
The personal Apple.
It's all fruit to me.
Yeah, it's all fruit. Yeah, exactly. That's where I was going with that. Yeah. Hey, Michael, thanks so much. Congratulations on yet another great book. One that I think a lot of folks will benefit from.
Thank you. It's always fun to work with the Smile people, and this time was no different. It was a great experience.
Yeah, definitely great people. We'll do it again next time. Folks, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is MacVoices. I can't stress this enough. Go to smilesoftware.com, download the demo, and play with it. And definitely go and get Michael's book as well to make sure you get the most out of your 30-day demo. It's one of those essential pieces of software for me, and I think it might just become one for you as well. Until the next time, and as always, thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you MacVoices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.